forest was calm that night. The kind of calm that settles deep into your bones, like a soft blanket after a long day. The wind moved gently through the trees on Mount Hanabi, rustling the high branches with a whisper so light it was almost a lullaby. The sky above was painted with 1,000,000 stars, each one glowing softly, flickering like little fire spirits suspended in the heavens. Below, nestled in a peaceful clearing, Team 7 was settling in for the night after a long day of travel. Naruto crouched close to a small fire, poking at the flames with a long stick. He'd claimed he caught dinner himself, a fish plucked from the nearby river, and was now determined to cook it to perfection. Unfortunately, Naruto had never been known for his patience. The fish was beginning to char on one side, and a faint trail of smoke curled upward as he muttered, "Just a little longer. Come on, be delicious." Sakura sat on a smooth log nearby, watching him with a skeptical tilt to her head. "Naruto, it's going to burn." "I've got this," he said, determination burning brighter than the fire itself. Sasuke, silent as ever, was leaning against a large tree with his arms folded and eyes half closed. The faint rustling of leaves above him provided a natural lullaby. He glanced at Naruto occasionally, offering no words, only the occasional eye roll or half smirk. When Naruto nearly dropped the fish into the flames. And then there was Kakashi, calm, cool, and unreadable. Their enigmatic sensei was lounging on a rock a little further back, his ever-present book closed for once. His visible eye was soft, reflecting the golden light of the fire as he observed his students with a kind of quiet fondness. The fire popped and crackled, sending tiny sparks spiraling upward. The heat wrapped around them like an invisible shield, warding off the crisp mountain air. "You know," Kakashi said suddenly, his voice low but clear, "this place has a legend." Naruto's head snapped up. "A legend? You mean like a ghost?" Sakura narrowed her eyes. "Or a dangerous creature?" Sasuke opened one eye, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly. "Probably just another bedtime story." Kakashi chuckled softly. "Maybe. But some stories are rooted in truth." The wind picked up slightly, tugging at the edges of their cloaks. The trees swayed gently, and the fire's flames danced a little higher. The mood had shifted. The forest now felt like it was listening. "The legend of the dream fox of Mount Hanabi," Kakashi began, "is one that only the old villagers remember now. It's said that deep in these woods, hidden from most eyes, lives a fox spirit unlike any other. She doesn't hunt. She doesn't harm. Instead, she enters your dreams. Gently, silently. She shows you something you've lost, or something you're destined to find." Sakura frowned slightly. "Like a genjutsu?" "Not quite," Kakashi replied, his voice thoughtful. "It's said the dream fox doesn't create illusions. She reveals truths, ones you're too afraid to face in the light." Naruto leaned closer, the forgotten fish now dangling loosely on the stick. "So, she reads your mind, like the Yamanaka clan?" "More like, she reads your heart." A silence followed his words, thick and full of curiosity. The fire snapped again. "It's said," Kakashi continued, "that those who encounter the dream fox wake with clarity. Some find peace, others, answers. But she never appears unless she's needed, or unless something is about to change." A quiet settled in again. Even Naruto, who was usually bouncing with energy, stayed still. "I think you just made that up," Sakura said eventually, though her voice lacked conviction. "Believe what you will," Kakashi said with a shrug. "But sometimes stories have a way of becoming real, when you least expect them." Just then, a breeze swept through the clearing, rustling the fire and causing it to flare unexpectedly. The shadows danced wildly across their faces. For a moment, Naruto could have sworn he saw something, just beyond the trees. A flash of silver, a shimmer, like moonlight fur. He blinked, and it was gone. He rubbed his eyes. Did anyone see that? Sakura raised an eyebrow. See what? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Kakashi leaned back and opened his book again, though he didn't read. Maybe the mountain wants you to believe. Hello, dreamer. My name is Aurora, and I'll be guiding you tonight through this gentle sleep adventure. If you've made it this far, I hope you're already beginning to feel the day slip away. Here at Sleep Stories, we believe that rest is sacred, and that even the wildest stories can help calm your mind, slow your breathing, and carry you gently into sleep. This story, The Dream Fox of Mount Hanabi, is inspired by the peaceful bonds of Team 7, their trust, their friendship, and the moments of quiet between their battles. This isn't a story of conflict. It's a story of connection, of dreams, of the magic that lives in silence. If you find comfort here, if you enjoy these calming journeys into anime and imagination, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Sleep Stories. We create content to help you rest, recharge, and dream. But for now, there's nothing more to do. No action to take. Just breathe. Let the night take you. Let the fire keep you warm. Let the story unfold. Back in the clearing, Naruto finally gave up on the fish, muttering, "Ramen's easier than this." He tossed it to the side and flopped onto his back, staring up at the stars. Sakura stretched and let out a quiet sigh, then rested her chin on her knees. Even Sasuke seemed a little more relaxed, his eyes following the drift of smoke curling into the sky. Kakashi closed his eyes, listening to the forest, to the rhythm of the night. Unseen by the team, far above in the trees, a pair of shimmering golden eyes blinked slowly. The Dream Fox was watching. And tomorrow, everything would begin to change. The night was still warm, with only a gentle breeze stirring the tall grass around their campsite. Above, the sky was vast, jeweled with stars that seemed to shimmer in time with the soft crackling of the campfire. The flames danced low now, no longer hungry, but steady and golden, casting shifting shadows on the trees, encircling the small clearing where Team 7 rested. Naruto had finally given up on his fish and leaned back, hands behind his head, staring up at the stars. Sakura sat cross-legged on her blanket, arms around her knees, her eyes reflecting the firelight. Sasuke hadn't moved much, still propped against his bag, but now his gaze was clearly fixed on Kakashi. There was a hush over the group, the kind that only comes when everyone knows a story's about to begin. Kakashi shifted slightly, sitting upright, brushing a bit of ash off his pants. He looked up at the moon before speaking, his voice calm and even, almost like the sound of a gentle stream trickling over stones. This story begins long before the Hidden Leaf Village was founded. Long before the 5 great nations rose from the ashes of war. His voice was soft, but carried clearly in the quiet night. Back then, this land wasn't divided by borders. It was just forest and mountain and rivers, inhabited by nomadic clans and creatures born from chakra itself. Mount Hanabi, the very mountain behind us, stood just as it does now, tall and silent, crowned in mist. Naruto sat up, curious now. So, you mean the dream fox was real? It lived up there? Kakashi nodded slowly. According to the legend, yes. The fox was said to have been born from a star. Sakura raised an eyebrow. A star? Yes. Kakashi folded his hands together loosely. One night, a brilliant light streaked across the sky and struck the peak of Mount Hanabi. The mountain trembled. Some say it cracked. And when the smoke cleared, a creature emerged from the crater, small at first, with silvery fur and glowing eyes like lanterns. He paused, letting the image hang in the air. They say it could walk between dreams and reality, that when it closed its eyes, it wandered through the minds of sleeping people, watching their thoughts like clouds floating by. And sometimes, just sometimes, it would whisper back. Naruto's eyes were wide. That's so cool. What did it whisper? Kakashi's eye curved slightly with amusement. That depends on the person. Some were comforted. Others woke screaming. The fox didn't judge. It only reflected what was already there. Sakura drew her knees a little closer. That sounds kind of sad, actually. It was lonely, Kakashi said quietly, because people feared what they didn't understand. And the dream fox, it was beyond understanding. So it hid, deeper and deeper in the mountain, retreating from the world. A soft gust of wind brushed through the trees, then, as if responding to the sadness in the story. Stories like these have been passed down for generations. Tales of creatures that live between the waking world and the realm of dreams. Whether real or imagined, they remind us of the mysteries all around us. The ones we see and the ones we feel as we drift off to sleep. As you listen, let your breath slow just a little. Let the rhythm of the story guide you. You're safe. You're here. And the night will hold you gently. Kakashi reached for a stick and traced a lazy circle in the dirt. Now, the dream fox had a name, or at least the closest thing to one. It was called Tsukihana, moon blossom. Because when it walked, it left behind tiny glowing footprints that looked like fallen petals in the dark. Naruto grinned, enchanted. Like glowing fox tracks? Yes, Kakashi chuckled. And if you followed them in your dreams, it was said you'd reach a place beyond pain, a place where your heart could rest. The fire crackled again, softer now. But not everyone sought peace. Sasuke's voice entered the conversation then, low and quiet. Someone hunted it. Kakashi's expression shifted, just slightly. Yes. A powerful shinobi from one of the old clans, a man named Kurizen. He believed the Dream Fox's power could be extracted and used to control people's minds, to manipulate memory, rewrite the past, even create illusions so powerful they could become real. Naruto frowned. That sounds awful. It was, Kakashi said. Kurosen spent years chasing Tsukihana, using every jutsu and forbidden technique he knew. But no matter how close he came, the fox always slipped away, leaving behind only silence and the shimmer of fading dreams. The fire let out a low hiss as a log shifted. But then, Kakashi said, voice even softer now. One night, under a red moon, Kurosan found the fox sleeping beneath a tree carved into the shape of a spiral, an ancient symbol for the connection between worlds. And in that moment, he tried to bind it. Sakura leaned forward. Did he succeed? Kakashi shook his head. He failed. Because just as he began his jutsu, the fox opened its eyes, not in fear, but in sadness. It saw into him, saw all the pain and ambition and anger, and instead of fleeing, it shared with him a vision. He looked at the group, letting the silence stretch for just a heartbeat longer. A vision of what he could have been. A child, unbroken. A boy running through fields. A man with a kind heart, helping instead of hurting. The life he lost, and the life he still could have. For a moment, no one spoke. Even Naruto was quiet. Sasuke's eyes remained steady on Kakashi, his thoughts unreadable. Kakashi sighed, the sound barely louder than the wind. When Kurosen woke, he was alone. No fox, no footprints, but in his hands was a single white flower. And so, the legend of the dream fox became a whisper in the woods. Some say it still wanders, appearing in the dreams of those who carry sorrow. Others believe it sleeps in a cave near the peak of Mount Hanabi, waiting for the world to need it again. You may even meet it tonight, if your heart is quiet and your spirit still. If you do, listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. Naruto finally spoke again, voice hushed. Kakashi-sensei, do you think it's real? Kakashi glanced up at the mountain, the barest smile touching his masked face. I think dreams are real enough. Sakura let out a slow breath. That was a beautiful story. Even Sasuke nodded slightly. The fire burned low now, a soft ember glow that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Naruto yawned, flopping back onto his blanket. I kinda hope I see those fox tracks tonight. Me too, Sakura said, lying down beside him. Sasuke didn't say anything, but he lay back as well, eyes on the stars. Kakashi looked at them all for a long moment before pulling out his book again. Not to read, but simply to hold. The story lingered in the air like mist, like a lullaby. And above them, the mountain loomed still and dark and quiet, waiting, listening, dreaming. Let yourself rest now. Feel the earth beneath you, the night around you. Let your thoughts drift, like leaves on a river. If you'd like more stories like this, we invite you to gently like this video or subscribe to Sleep Stories, but only when you're ready. Right now, just be. Scene 3 is coming, when you're ready to hear what happens next. Until then, may your dreams be peaceful, and may you walk gently in the footsteps of the fox. The stars above the forest clearing seemed brighter now, clearer, as though Kakashi's story had unlocked something in the night sky itself. The fire had burned low, casting only a dim halo of gold around the camp, and the sound of the wind had taken on a quieter, more melodic rhythm, whispering through pine needles like lullabies spoken in forgotten languages. Naruto had rolled onto his side, one arm tucked beneath his head, his breathing slow and steady. Sakura lay nearby, her eyes half-lidded, the corners of her mouth turned slightly upward in contentment. Even Sasuke, usually guarded, looked more at peace. The angles of his face softened by the flickering glow, his chest rising and falling with slow, even breaths. Only Kakashi remained fully awake, though even he was quiet now, watching the flames, lost in thought. The legend of the dream fox lingered in the air like dew, and in the hush that followed, it felt as though the mountain itself was holding its breath. And then, there it was, a sound. Software, barely perceptible, like the brushing of fur against a leaf. Kakashi's eye flicked toward the woods. He wasn't sure what he'd heard, only that it didn't belong to the wind, and with it came the mist. At first, it was just a low fog curling at the edges of the clearing. Nothing unusual for this altitude, but then it thickened. Wisps of it curled like fingers between the trees, winding over mossy stones and slipping beneath the sleeping team like silk. The mist that night was unlike anything they'd seen before. It didn't bite with cold or blind with thickness. Instead, it shimmered, soft silver swirls that drifted lazily, wrapping the world in a quiet hush. It was as though the forest itself had exhaled a dream. Kakashi stood slowly, careful not to disturb the others. He stepped beyond the ring of firelight, his sandals brushing against damp grass, eyes scanning the shadows. There, just at the edge of the trees, a glow, faint, like starlight caught on dew. He moved closer, cautious but curious. And there, on the forest floor, nearly hidden beneath the mist, were prints. Tiny, delicate, glowing softly with a silvery blue hue. Like petals, fallen in a perfect trail. Kakashi knelt beside them. They were warm to the touch, faint chakra pulsing through them like echoes. He didn't speak. He only stared. It couldn't be. But somehow, it was. Tsukihana, the dream fox's footprints. And they were fresh. Behind him, Naruto stirred. A small groan escaped him as he rolled over. Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi turned his head. Shh. Sakura blinked awake next. Is something wrong? Kakashi glanced back at the prince, then toward the trees. Stay calm. Don't move suddenly. Look over here. Naruto sat up now, rubbing his eyes. Whoa, what is that? Sasuke was already rising, silent as always, eyes narrowing at the trail. Sakura gasped. Are those... They're real, Kakashi said quietly. The footprints? Kakashi nodded. Are we dreaming? Naruto asked, wide-eyed. I don't think so, Kakashi murmured. But I do think something's changed. He stood again scanning the forest. The mist was thicker now, but not blinding, more like walking through memory than weather. It didn't obscure. It softened. It felt old, ancient. Kakashi turned back to them. Gear up. Quietly. We're not under attack. But I want us ready. Naruto hesitated, glancing toward the fox prince again. You think it's really her? Tsukihana? I don't know, Kakashi admitted. But whatever it is, it's chakra-based. And it's leading us somewhere. Sometimes, in the quiet moments between sleep and wakefulness, we feel something calling. Not with sound, but with feeling. A tug in the chest, a breath that doesn't belong to us. That night, all of Team 7 felt it. A gentle pull, not dangerous, but insistent, like a lullaby asking to be followed. The team gathered their gear quickly, with the same silent precision they'd practiced 100 times before. But the air was different now. Not tense, not hostile, just charged, like something was waiting. The trail of glowing fox prints led into the forest, winding gently between tree trunks, across roots and fallen leaves that shimmered faintly underfoot. With each step, the mist thickened, curling higher around their legs until the ground below looked like it floated on clouds. Naruto whispered, "It's like walking through a dream." Sakura nodded. "Do you feel that? It's not scary. It's kind of beautiful." Sasuke didn't answer, but Kakashi saw the way his fingers loosened slightly from their usual grip on his kunai pouch. The forest had gone completely silent now. No birds, no insects. Just the crunch of footsteps and the soft hum of chakra in the air. And then, the sound. A bell. Faint. Distant. Like wind chimes in the fog. Ting, ting, ting. It wasn't rhythmic. It wasn't random. It felt like an invitation. Naruto glanced at Kakashi. "Do we follow it?" Kakashi nodded. "Just stay alert." They walked on for what felt like an hour, though time didn't behave normally here. The mist muted it, folded it. Thoughts came slower. Words drifted like feathers. And then just ahead, a clearing. They stepped into it cautiously. The mist parted like curtains drawn aside, revealing a circle of stone pillars, ancient and half-cracked with moss. At the center stood a small spring, bubbling clear water into a shallow basin carved from white marble. The footprints ended here, and beside the spring sat a fox, small, delicate. Its fur was pale silver, and its tail curled like smoke. Its eyes were closed, sleeping, not even twitching. Kakashi held out an arm, signaling the team to stop. They stared in silence. Then, soft as the wind, the fox opened one eye. Golden, luminous, gentle. Some moments are not meant to be explained, only experienced. What Team 7 saw then was not just a fox. It was something older than words. A presence that filled the air like music, filled silence. And in its gaze, they felt peace. Naruto blinked. "I thought it'd be bigger." Sakura whispered, "It's beautiful." Sasuke tilted his head slightly, his voice low. "It's not afraid of us." "No," Kakashi said softly. "It called us here." The fox slowly rose, its paws silent on the mossy stone. It walked to the edge of the spring, dipped its head, and drank. Then it looked up and turned toward the woods. It took one step, then another, then paused, looking back, waiting. Kakashi met its gaze and understood. He turned to the team. "We're being asked to follow." Naruto was already stepping forward. "Then let's go." And so, without another word, they followed the dream fox into the deeper forest, into whatever lay beyond. The mist swirled around them, cool, comforting, endless. And above the trees, Mount Hanabi watched in silence. "Sleep comes gently now. You've traveled far tonight, but the journey is only beginning. Let your breath soften. Let your thoughts settle." Scene 4 is near, when you're ready. And if this story has brought you calm, consider liking or subscribing to Sleep Stories. It's our quiet way of walking beside you night after night. Until next time, may your steps be light and your dreams be kind. The mist was softer now, not gone, but thinned, like silk stretched thin enough to let starlight through. It trailed behind the silver fox like a wedding veil, brushing the ground and folding behind trees like it knew the forest by heart. Team 7 moved quietly through the hush of the woods, their footsteps muffled by moss and ancient pine needles. The forest had changed. The air felt thicker but calmer, like the trees had stepped aside to let them pass. No birds, no rustle of creatures, just the soft ting of unseen bells, echoing now and then through the leaves. Kakashi walked a few steps behind the fox, glancing every so often at his students. Naruto's usual energy had mellowed into something thoughtful, his eyes wide, his steps light, as though he was trying not to break the spell. Sakura walked with her arms folded gently in front of her, eyes tracing every petal, every vine that hung lazily from the trees. She didn't speak, but her gaze sparkled with wonder. And Sasuke? He was silent as ever, but Kakashi could see the shift in him too. The tension had melted from his shoulders, replaced by something softer. Maybe not trust, but curiosity. The forest had reached a quiet so complete that even their thoughts seemed to echo. Each step forward was like a lullaby played in reverse, a return to something older, deeper, and long forgotten. The fox led them through a narrow pass between two gnarled tree roots that arched overhead like a gate. As they crossed beneath, the temperature changed subtly. The air grew warmer, the breeze more fragrant, carrying the scent of something sweet and floral, like plum blossoms in early spring. Then they saw it. The grove. They stepped into an opening that seemed impossibly round, perfect in shape, like nature had carved it by hand. The trees here were taller, older. Their trunks were wide and smooth, their branches woven high above to form a dome of leaves. The moonlight filtered through, fragmented into silver shards that danced across the clearing like gentle fireflies. At the center of the grove stood a pool, shallow, perfectly still, its surface like glass. Around the pool grew tiny blue flowers that glowed faintly in the dark, casting a soft light across the clearing. The fox stopped at the edge of the pool and sat, tail wrapped neatly around its paws. And then the grove whispered. It began as a rustle, a breath of wind through leaves, but quickly changed. The sound took on shape, form, emotion. Not words, not exactly, but meaning. A voice, not heard but felt. And it said, "You have come far." Naruto blinked. Did anyone else hear that? Sakura nodded slowly. I didn't hear it. I just kind of knew it. Sasuke said nothing, but his brow furrowed just slightly, eyes fixed on the pool. Kakashi knelt at the water's edge. This place, it's a memory, he murmured. What do you mean? Sakura asked. He touched the surface lightly with his gloved fingertips. The water shimmered, and a ripple moved outward, only to return instantly to stillness. I think this is where dreams are born, Kakashi said. Not the kind we have when we sleep, but the other kind. Naruto tilted his head. Like wishes. No, Kakashi said quietly. like destinies. The Whispering Grove was not on any map. No cartographer had sketched it. No shinobi had reported it. It was a place that chose to appear. And in choosing, it revealed more than hidden trails or glowing footprints. It revealed the heart. For those who entered, the grove showed not who they were, but who they might yet become. The soft whisper returned, rustling through the grove like wind moving across a harp string. "Will you listen?" The team stood silently. The silver fox rose again, stepping lightly to the far edge of the pool. There, embedded in the earth, was a small stone slab, its surface smooth, like it had been polished by time itself. Symbols began to glow faintly across its face. Swirling shapes, ancient characters none of them could read. But they understood them somehow. A story, a memory. Long ago, before the first Hokage, before the clans, even before chakra was understood as energy, there were stories. The Dream Fox was one of them. Not a creature of battle or jutsu, but a guardian of balance. A spirit that lived between sleep and waking, between the old world and the new. Her fur silver as moonlight, her eyes gold as promise. Where she stepped, dreams grew. And when she vanished, the world remembered her only in fragments. The whisper deepened. "You carry echoes of that world." Naruto took a step closer to the stone, wide-eyed. It's like it's talking to us, all of us. Sakura knelt beside him. It's not just telling us a story, it's showing us. Suddenly, the pool lit up. Not bright, but glowing from within, casting swirling patterns of light across their faces. Images flickered on the water's surface. A younger village. Not Konoha, but something older, more tribal. Children playing with glowing leaves. A woman standing by a tree, her hair flowing like smoke. A fox curling around her legs protectively. Then, a storm. Fire. Darkness. And the fox, vanishing into mist. The image faded. Silence returned, but something had shifted again. The fox, Tsukihana, looked at them, her eyes impossibly deep. And then the whisper came again. "She has returned." Kakashi straightened. "That's why we're here." Sasuke looked at him. "You think the legend was real all along?" "It doesn't matter if it was," Kakashi replied, "because now it is." The fox turned, walking toward the trees beyond the grove. But this time, the mist didn't follow. The air remained still. Naruto stepped toward her. "Do we follow?" The whisper answered for them. "The mountain wakes." Kakashi's eyes narrowed. "That's not good." Sakura looked toward the sky. "What does that mean?" And then the ground trembled, only slightly, a gentle quake, as if something deep below had rolled over in its sleep. The fox didn't look back. But she walked faster now. Kakashi turned to the team. "This isn't just a dream anymore." And without another word, they followed. Some paths lead to places we choose. Others choose us. The Whispering Grove had offered its memory. It had given them a glimpse, not of danger, not yet, but of balance shifting, of something waking that should have remained asleep. And so, they walked on, not to chase a legend, but to protect a dream. The next steps would carry them higher, toward the place where mist meets mountain, and where destiny takes form. And now, as you breathe softly, let yourself settle. Let the leaves of the grove rustle gently above you. Let the pool's light fade slowly behind your eyes. Sleep, like the mist, will gather around you. The story continues, but for now, rest. If this journey has brought you peace, consider subscribing to Sleep Stories. We walk beside you each night, through forest and legend, toward dreams that matter. Scene 5 awaits. When the time is right, the forest began to thin. Not all at once, but gradually, like a curtain lifting after the final note of a lullaby. The trees stretched taller, their trunks smoother, their roots woven neatly beneath moss-covered stones. The air grew clearer, though the mist lingered low at their feet, brushing gently against their ankles, like the hem of an old friend's robe. The silver fox walked ahead without hurry. Her tail shimmered with soft light, catching glints of moonbeams filtered through sparse canopy. Behind her, Team 7 followed in silence. Naruto's hands were in his pockets now. He wasn't leaping ahead or calling out. Instead, he watched the silver creature closely, as if afraid that one blink might cause her to vanish again. Sakura walked, with one hand touching the bark of trees as they passed, her other arm cradled across her stomach. Her face was calm, her breathing light. She felt like the woods were listening to her thoughts. And Sasuke, his steps were deliberate, measured. He walked behind the others, but never too far. The quiet didn't disturb him anymore. It settled over his shoulders like snow. Cool, but not cold. Familiar. Kakashi walked behind them all, his hands tucked into his pockets, his eyes tracing the sky above the treetops. The stars were changing. The sky over Mount Hanabi didn't follow the patterns of the world below. Time here didn't tick. It flowed, like a quiet stream winding through old stone. And just as dreams move from one image to the next without warning or sound, so too did the journey shift beneath their feet. The path had turned upward now, steeper. Stone steps emerged from the moss like bones of the mountain itself, leading higher into the hillside. The forest fell away behind them, replaced by tall stone spires veiled in silver mist. Each step they took made the air feel a little lighter, not thinner, but purer, crisp. Sakura touched her chest. It feels like we're walking into a memory. Naruto nodded. It's like when I used to look at the Hokage faces as a kid. I didn't know what they meant, but I knew they meant something. Kakashi glanced over his shoulder. Mountains remember what villages forget. Sasuke stepped onto a broad ledge. Then maybe it's time we remember too. The fox paused as they reached a ridge overlooking the valley below. From here, they could see the forest they'd come through, stretching like a living sea of green beneath moonlight. The grove where the pool had whispered, the trees where the bells had chimed. The view should have been vast. But above the forest, rising even higher in the distance, were towers of stone so sheer and tall that they cut into the sky like blades. Naruto's mouth opened slightly. I didn't know the mountain was this big. It wasn't, Kakashi said softly. They turned to him. What do you mean? Sakura asked. He nodded toward the tallest peak. Mount Hanabi's summit has been hidden for centuries. Only stories remembered its full height. The fox walked again, this time faster. Urgent, though still quiet. And so they climbed step by step, breath by breath. The stone beneath their feet was worn smooth by time, but not by people. No footprints marked this trail. No paths were blazed. Only the dream fox knew the way. After a while, they came upon a wall of vines, thick and silver green, draped over a stone archway. The fox waited patiently until Naruto reached forward and gently brushed the vines aside. Behind the arch, an ancient gate, carved in stone and draped with symbols. Some looked like swirling clouds, others like falling stars. As they stepped through, wind moved gently past them, carrying a low hum, like the faint note of a song carried on the back of time. And then they emerged into a new space, a courtyard, open to the sky. Stone lanterns stood in perfect circles around the edge of the clearing, unlit, but glowing faintly from within, like the stars had lent them their warmth for a little while. In the center stood a tree, old, massive. Its branches reached out not just above, but to the sides as if embracing the world. It bore no leaves, but its bark shimmered with threads of gold and blue, like lightning frozen in place. At the base of the tree, nestled among roots, was a circular pattern etched into the stone, a seal, and within the seal, a shimmer, a pulse, like a heartbeat. The fox stepped toward the seal and circled it slowly. Sakura whispered, "Is it alive?" Kakashi knelt again. "It's chakra," he said. "Old chakra, not just sealed, resting." Naruto stepped forward. "It's not dangerous. I can feel it." Sasuke looked at him. "Then why do I feel like it's waiting?" The fox sat beside the seal. For the first time since the journey began, she looked directly into their eyes, each of them, then turned her gaze upward, toward the summit. The top of Mount Hanabi was no longer distant. It shimmered now above them, the path winding gently into shadow. The dream had brought them this far, but dreams, even beautiful ones, require courage to complete. The seal beneath the tree was not a prison, it was a promise. Long ago, the people of the mountain had sealed their final hope, not because they feared the world, but because they believed it would one day remember how to dream again. And that day had come. Kakashi stood, dusting his gloves. "We'll rest here." Sakura sat near the lanterns, her head tilted to the side. "I don't feel tired, but I want to sit." Naruto lay back in the grass beside the seal. "This place, it feels like a lullaby." Sasuke stood beneath the tree, one hand against the bark. "It feels like the beginning of something." The wind rustled gently. The seal pulsed once more. The fox closed her eyes. And the stars, bright, clear, and impossibly near, watched silently above. If your eyes are heavy now, let them close. Let the mountain hold your thoughts, just for tonight. The dream fox walks ahead, but she always waits for those who believe. And if you've enjoyed this journey so far, consider subscribing to Sleep Stories, where legends live softly beneath your pillow and every step is made of peace. Scene 6 awaits, high above, where the stars whisper secrets. Beyond the resting circle and the great old tree, the mountain path grew quiet once more. But this silence was different. Not the hush of caution or fear, not the quiet that follows a warning. This silence was sacred. as if the stones beneath their feet remembered the voices of pilgrims long forgotten, as if each breath drawn here echoed across generations, soft, reverent, and full of longing. The dream had led them to the edge of something ancient, and now it invited them higher. The dream fox stood waiting at the far end of the courtyard, where a sliver of trail disappeared into a gap between two great boulders, bathed in blue twilight. She looked back just once. Her silver eyes gleamed with gentle knowing. Naruto rose first. His hands brushed the grass as he stood, like he was saying goodbye. "She's going again," he whispered. Kakashi gave a small nod. "Then so should we." Sakura smoothed her robe and followed. Sasuke lingered just a moment more, resting his hand against the bark of the great dream tree. A single golden thread shimmered under his palm before dimming softly, like a heartbeat, fading into stillness. They stepped through the stone passage one by one, into the narrowing path. And as they passed between the ancient rocks, a wind rose, not cold, but deep. A breath from the mountain itself. There are places that lie behind the world, not hidden by force, but forgotten by time. The forgotten shrine was not lost. It was simply waiting. The trail climbed steadily now. The stones beneath their feet were smoother here, shaped not by weather, but by the hands of those who once revered this place. Steps carved with care. Rails long rotted, but remembered in the pattern of the stone. And as they climbed, small orbs of light floated gently out of the mist, hovering like fireflies. Each orb held a memory. Not full images, not voices, but fragments of feeling. The warmth of shared tea, the brush of silk robes in a ceremonial circle, the soft echo of footsteps across shrine floors. Naruto reached out as one of the orbs passed by him. His fingers glowed faintly where they touched it. "Feels like kindness," he murmured. Sakura turned to him. "I felt that too, like something familiar, but old." Sasuke didn't speak, but he watched the lights carefully. One orb passed near him and pulsed, just once, before floating onward. His gaze lingered. Kakashi brought up the rear again, watching not the lights, but the spaces between them. "There's chakra here," he said quietly. "Very old, and very gentle." They crested a final rise in the trail, and then, suddenly, the shrine appeared. It was carved into the mountainside itself. A vast, circular platform set beneath an overhanging rock, sheltered from the sky, but open to the winds. Pillars surrounded it, 12 in all, each carved with a unique animal and inscribed with glyphs that pulsed faintly with dreamlight. In the center stood the shrine. It was not large, humble even, a domed structure with wide open doors, woven with climbing vines that glowed faintly where they touched the sacred wood. The roof was topped with a single silver bell, motionless, but the air around it hummed. Alive, waiting. The dream fox stepped forward. This time she did not enter. She sat by the edge of the platform and looked out across the sky beyond. The summit was near now, visible just above the shrine, crowned in soft clouds that glowed with starlight. Kakashi motioned to the team. "Let's take a look." They approached the shrine carefully, not out of fear, but respect. The way one enters a temple or a graveyard. Slowly, open-hearted. Inside, the shrine smelled of cedarwood and starlight. There were no torches, no candles, only the light of the dream, seeping through cracks in the ceiling like misty moonbeams. A pool rested in the center, shallow and still. Surrounding it were 4 pedestals, each bearing a single item. A small white mask, painted with blue waves. A folded scroll sealed with gold thread. A flute made of bone and silver. A single stone, flat and black as night. They gathered around the pool. Naruto leaned forward. Are these offerings? Sakura nodded slowly. Or pieces of a story? Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Or a test? Kakashi tilted his head. Or all 3. The forgotten shrine held not treasure or warning, but a memory. It remembered the hands that carved it, the laughter that once filled its courts, the prayers whispered on windy nights. But more than anything, it remembered the dream. As the team stood silently, the pool began to glow. Not brightly, just enough to reveal reflections not their own. Images shimmered across its surface. A flickering scene of the mountains centuries ago. Vibrant, filled with people wearing ceremonial robes. They danced, they sang. Children ran between the pillars. Monks sat in circles, hands pressed in meditation. Then, the image shifted. Storm clouds gathered. The people began to vanish, one by one. The music faded. The monks stood and walked into the mist, their hands still pressed together. The last figure to remain was a young girl. Her hair silver, her eyes wide with longing. She knelt beside the pool and placed the 4 items on the pedestals. Then she vanished. The water stilled. Naruto exhaled. That was her, wasn't it? The dream fox, Sakura whispered. Kakashi stepped back slightly. This shrine was her temple, her home. Sasuke circled the pool, slowly. Or her prison. Naruto looked up. Why would someone like her need to be sealed away? The bell atop the shrine gave a faint tremble, though no wind stirred. A single tone rang out, software low, clear. And then, the pool shimmered once more. This time, only a single image appeared. A mountain, split by lightning. Fire rising in the valley below. A great beast, twisting and shadowed, descending from the clouds. The girl stood before it, arms raised, silver hair blowing in the storm. Her voice echoed through the image. May this dream sleep, until the world is ready to dream again. The light vanished. The water went still, and the silence returned. Dreams are not always soft. Sometimes they are made of sacrifice. The dream fox gave her light to protect the world, not from malice, but from forgetting. The shrine is not just a memory. It is a promise kept. Sakura stepped forward first. She bowed slightly to the shrine, then reached for the scroll. She held it gently, unrolling it just enough to see the script. Her breath caught. This is written in ancient chakra script, she murmured. It's a prophecy. Sasuke lifted the stone. This isn't just a relic, it's a key. Naruto took the flute, turning it slowly in his hands. I think it plays the dream song. Kakashi took the mask. He said nothing, But behind his eye, something softened. They stepped out of the shrine together, each carrying their piece. The dream fox stood once more. Her eyes met each of theirs, not with demand, but gratitude. She turned and walked upward toward the summit, and they followed. As they climbed, the stars grew closer, the wind grew quieter, and the mountain, older than memory, more sacred than myth, welcomed them home. If you're still with us, dear dreamer, let your thoughts settle now. You've walked long tonight. You've seen the hidden places, felt the memories, and held the past in your hands. The dream fox walks ahead, but slowly so you can catch up. If you enjoyed this journey, consider liking and subscribing to Sleep Stories, where every mountain path leads to rest and every dream is waiting to be remembered. Sleep well. The next scene awaits. The trail narrowed once more. This time, it was not carved by hands or softened by centuries of footsteps. It was shaped by the mountain itself, winding upward between silent ridges and moss-covered stones, woven into the sky like a thread stitched through twilight. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi walked with quiet reverence, each carrying the artifact they had chosen from the shrine below. The dream fox led the way, her pale fur brushed with moonlight, moving without sound. They did not speak, not because of fear, but because the air had changed. They had climbed beyond the reach of ordinary sound. Even the rustle of robes or the crunch of stone seemed muted here, absorbed into the mountain's stillness. Above them, the summit waited, crowned in mist and starlight. There are places where the veil is thin, where dreams and waking touch. The summit of Mount Hanabi is such a place. It is not just high in the sky, it is close to memory, close to truth. And when you arrive, the mountain remembers you. The final ascent opened suddenly. One moment, they were surrounded by stone. The next, they stepped into a clearing wide and round, etched into the peak itself. The clouds parted just enough for a sweep of starlight to pour in, bathing the summit in silver. It was quiet, yet not empty. Voices stirred in the air, not spoken aloud, but drifting gently, like the sound of leaves remembering the wind. Sasuke paused. "Do you hear that?" Sakura nodded slowly. "I think it's not sound, it's thought." Kakashi knelt, placing one hand to the earth. Whispers, ancient chakra, echoes left behind. Naruto stepped forward into the center. The ground beneath his feet glowed faintly with each step, like he was waking the mountain itself. And then the dream fox turned. She looked at them fully now, no longer with mystery, but with understanding. Her voice, when it came, was not a sound, but a feeling that wrapped around them like warmth in the cold. "You have come far," she said gently, "but not only through distance. You've walked through memories, through forgotten promises, through the quiet hearts of those who dreamed before you. Now, the mountain remembers you." As she spoke, the summit shimmered. The stars above tilted slightly, just enough to suggest that something vast and unseen was watching. The wind curled inward, forming a wide ring around the clearing, like a great circle being closed. The 4 artifacts began to hum faintly. The flute in Naruto's hand gave a single soft note, long and pure. The scroll in Sakura's arms glowed faintly gold, its seal beginning to unwind. The black stone in Sasuke's palm pulsed once, then faded to stillness, revealing an etched sigil beneath the surface. And the mask Kakashi held gave a whisper of wind through its eye holes, like breath long held, finally released. At the summit, the dream becomes whole. The story that once fell apart is now ready to be remembered. And those who hold its pieces become its keepers. Sakura stepped into the center of the summit, unrolling the scroll. The characters upon it lifted gently from the paper, rising into the air like glowing ink, and spiraled around her. Each word carried feeling: hope, sorrow, courage, forgiveness. "They're not just words," she whispered. "They're memories." Naruto raised the flute to his lips. He didn't know the song, but somehow it knew him. The melody was soft, gentle as first snowfall. Notes tumbled like water down stone, clear and round, calling forth images they couldn't explain. Faces, laughter, open fields, the hush of dusk over ancient rooftops. Kakashi knelt beside him, placing the mask carefully before him, on the stone. "This was worn by those who kept the dream alive," he said, "even when they couldn't see it." Sasuke placed the black stone in the center of the 4 artifacts. The moment it touched the ground, a ring of symbols lit up, one for each of them. And then, the wind stilled. Everything stilled. And a voice spoke. Not from the dream fox, not from the mountain, but from everywhere. "Do you remember now?" the voice asked. "The promise made. The dream that sleeps in all of us, waiting to be heard?" The summit grew bright, but not blinding, warm. The kind of light that lives in memory, in longing, in the soft space between night and morning. The dream fox stepped forward and bowed her head. "I was once only a guardian," she said. "A dream given form to protect what the world forgot. But now you have remembered." She looked at each of them in turn. To dream is not to escape. It is to return to a truth deeper than waking, older than fear. And the mountain is not calling you away from the world. It is calling you back into it, with your eyes open. Naruto lowered the flute. Sakura gently rolled the scroll closed. Kakashi picked up the mask and held it against his chest. Sasuke looked up at the stars, watching them shift, one by one, into a new pattern. A dream constellation. The dream fox smiled. "Now," she said softly, "you are ready to meet the keeper." They looked to her. "The keeper of the final dream?" Naruto asked. She nodded. "And where is he?" She turned and gestured toward the heart of the summit, where a narrow path curved behind a rise in the stone, disappearing into a low mist that shimmered like breath in moonlight. "Follow the path," she said. "But not with your feet." She stepped back and faded into silver mist. Gone. The summit is not an end. It is a threshold. And the next step is not a climb. It is a choice to remember, to listen, to trust. The 4 stood in silence, not uncertain, just still, as if waiting for the dream to settle. Then Naruto stepped forward, this time not rushing, not bursting with energy, but calm. "This dream," he said, "I think it's always been with us." Sakura nodded. "We just never had a name for it." Kakashi looked toward the misty path. "Now we do." Sasuke walked beside him. "Let's finish the story." They stepped into the mist, one by one, carrying the dream within them. And the summit watched them go, not with eyes, but with memory. If you've made it this far, dear dreamer, thank you. You have walked with us through ancient forests, quiet shrines, starlit peaks. You have remembered what the world once forgot. And you've held the dream gently in your hands. If this story brought you peace, consider liking and subscribing to Sleep Stories. There are more dreams to tell, more paths to walk, and more truths to remember. But for now, sleep well. The keeper awaits. The mist was unlike anything they had walked through before. It wasn't cold. It wasn't damp. It didn't cling to their skin or obscure their vision like fog. Instead, it drifted around them like memory, soft and golden, curling through the folds of their robes and the quiet corners of their thoughts. It carried scents and sounds from long ago. The laughter of childhood, the rustling of leaves in the hidden leaf village, the soft splash of sandals in shallow water. Naruto reached out his hand. The mist curled around his fingers like a thread from a dream he almost remembered. And in that moment, the path appeared. Not with stones or lanterns, but with light, pale stepping glows, like reflections from stars. They moved forward in silence, carried by something deeper than footsteps. Each glow that bloomed beneath their feet felt like a heartbeat. And far ahead, rising from the mist like a mountain of stillness, stood a small gate, made of simple wood, old, worn, beautiful. And beside it, a figure. At the end of every dream, there waits a keeper. Not a guardian, not a judge, but a listener. One who has held the dream safe until it is ready to be returned to the world. The figure wore robes that shimmered like sunrise and shadow. A hood lay gently over their head, hiding their face. But their presence was calm, inviting, warm, like the quiet breath of the earth itself. As Team 7 approached, the figure turned slightly and stepped aside, gesturing toward the gate. No words, only welcome. Naruto looked to the others. Then he stepped through. The world on the other side of the gate was still. No sky, no ground. Only a wide open space filled with soft light, like walking into a dream made of memory. The floor shimmered like glass, reflecting the stars, and far in the center sat a raised platform. Upon it was a circle of stone, surrounded by cushions. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi each took a seat. They did not feel tired. They did not feel wide awake either. They simply felt present. The figure who had guided them remained standing, hands gently folded. And then they spoke. "You've brought the dream back." Their voice was quiet and ageless. Not male or female. Not young or old. Just there. Many came before you. Some forgot. Some turned back. Some remembered but could not carry it. But you held it gently. You walked the path, not with strength, but with stillness. And now, the final dream can be returned. Kakashi stepped forward first. He placed the fox mask on the stone platform. When I was younger, he said quietly, I believed that duty was everything, that the dream belonged to others, and I was only meant to protect it. He looked to the keeper. But now I see. The dream needs to be shared, and it lives longer when we all carry a piece. He stepped back. Sakura followed, placing the golden scroll beside the mask. These words, she said softly, they aren't just ancient. They're alive. They belong to all who hope, all who heal. Sasuke walked up next, setting the black stone beside the scroll. I carried the past too long, he said. But this stone taught me, even what's heavy can become light when placed in the right hands. Finally, Naruto placed the flute down. I didn't know the song, he said, but I felt it. It was already in me. And when I played it, I think the mountain remembered too. This is how the dream is reborn, the keeper said. Not through conquest, not through answers, but through listening, through walking, through remembering. The light around them deepened, not brighter, not blinding, but richer. It folded around them like a blanket, like the hush of falling snow. The artifact shimmered softly, then lifted into the air. The scroll unfurled, its glowing words circling above them. The mask hovered, revealing a second face within, calm, smiling. The flute began to play a single note, long and sweet, as if the wind had learned to sing. And the black stone pulsed once, sending a ripple through the air. The dream had awakened, not just in the mountain, but in them. The keeper does not hold the dream forever. They only watch over it until it is ready to return. And now, the dream is ready to be carried again, not as a legend, but as a part of life. A part of you. The light slowly began to dim, not fading but settling, returning. Naruto looked around. The dream world was folding inward, like a scroll being rolled away, like dawn overtaking starlight. The keeper bowed to them, and then was gone. When they opened their eyes, they were back at the foot of Mount Hanabi. The campfire still crackled. The stars still glittered. It was as if no time had passed, but the dream remained. Inside them, Naruto looked down. The flute was still in his hands. Sakura held the scroll. Sasuke's hand rested on the black stone, and Kakashi still wore the mask. They smiled at one another, not needing words. And so, the dream becomes part of the world again, carried by hearts that dared to climb, healed by silence, shaped by stars, shared by four who listened. May you, dear dreamer, carry this story with you tonight, not just in memory, but in peace. The fire crackles softly, the wind rustles the leaves, and somewhere, far off in the quiet mists of Mount Hanabi, the dream fox watches, still dreaming, still waiting, for the next soul who dares to listen. If this journey brought you peace, please consider liking and subscribing to Sleep Stories. There are more paths to walk, more dreams to hold, and always more room by the fire. Good night, dreamer. Sleep well.